Okay, let's talk about the Kojima thing real quick. Hideo Kojima has previously said he's interested in exploring VR titles. However, he has not been able to do this because VR headsets currently make him very motion sick. That's what he said before. However, what he described in a few different articles and interviews in Japanese, so they've been translated and they're kind of hard to figure out, but what he's described previously is that he previously has worked on what he would consider innovative VR titles, but he's had to put those projects on hold because pretty much every VR headset he tried to develop for made him nauseous and just didn't work. Now, interestingly, something was just spotted as having happened by a very reputable journalist who works with Bloomberg. What he said is that Hideo Kojima, creator of Metal Gear Solid Death Stranding, has been spotted at Apple's campus over the past week. So this was posted May 18th. So being spotted in the last week would mean like probably a week and a half to 2 weeks ago. Interesting. Could mean he's a part of WWDC. Perhaps a port to Mac or Apple Silicon, if not the headset. No Man's Sky for Mac, announced in 2022 but delayed, could also finally ship. So maybe this is just something as simple as, hey, we're bringing Death Stranding to Apple Silicon. Maybe it is something like that. I don't know. I don't see Kojima as the type to spend all of that dev time and effort porting to Apple Silicon. It also, my understanding is that Kojima Productions does not have a huge engine team. They have coders and stuff, but they don't have a huge engine team, which is why they went and worked with Gorilla using the Decima engine. So, and again, I'm not a coder, I'm not a programmer, I don't know any of this stuff. But I cannot imagine it's that easy to just quickly get a game that was built for Windows and consoles working on proprietary Apple Silicon. I'm sure it's a lot harder. Now, granted, Apple could bring engineers over and help. Maybe. I think it's kind of weird to target Kojima first and foremost. I'm like, if you really want to like take off and do really, really well, Apple should pursue partnerships with something. I don't know. It just seems like a weird first place to go. Like, it seems like Apple, with all of their money, should go and try to get a deal done with like Rockstar or somebody for GTA. Can you imagine Apple pays them like $10 billion to get GTA 6 available on Apple Silicon? Like, it'd be crazy. All of the marketing materials are rendered on Apple Silicon. Like, it'd be wild. Extremely unlikely, almost certainly not happening, but you never know. If anybody has the money to just throw something at Rockstar to do something, then it would be Apple. However, if you're not aware, what Apple is currently working on is a VR headset. This VR headset, if you've not heard any rumblings about it, is a little weird. Not a little, it's really weird. Nobody in Apple, like none of their engineers seemingly know what this even is. This is what some renders guess it'll look like. It's going to be announced at WWDC here in just like a couple weeks. Reportedly, this thing costs $1,500 to manufacture. They're going to sell it for $3,000. It has like individual 4K OLED screens inside. It's certainly going to be one of the most like beautiful and amazing VR headsets available, but nobody really knows what it's going to be for. Even like the Apple engineers that have previously worked on it, who's like leaked out and spoken about some of this stuff, they've been like, yeah, it seems to be a solution in search of a problem. Nobody really knows what this thing is supposed to be used for. It just seems like we built a VR headset and now we're like, okay, well now what do you do with it? Nobody knows, because it was not built to be like the solution to a problem. It was just built because they were like, yeah, we want to make a VR headset, and they're trying to come up with what their next big thing is going to be. And yeah, $3,000. like $3,000. Now, some people say that's because they're targeting engineers and they want engineers to buy it so they can make apps that are for the average consumer. Who knows? But if this instead is more that they are prioritizing getting Kojima and his games to like release on Apple Silicon, on Mac Minis, maybe they show Death Stranding 2 running on a MacBook Pro or something, that could be interesting. My understanding is that these laptops are very powerful and could certainly run something like that. However, it's just extremely hard to port. Apple Silicon is very specialized, and there's a reason you don't have a lot of ports for games on Apple Silicon. So it's going to be interesting. I've said before, Apple's complete neglect of the gaming sector is so weird to me. It's so weird to me because for ages, everybody's always said Apple has never prioritized video games. They've never really made it a priority. Occasionally they'll get a port for some game. They'll get Batman Arkham Asylum working on it, but it's very few and far between. And even then they don't tend to run very well. But I think it would just be a slam dunk. People love their MacBooks, but it's always been that people feel they have to buy a MacBook. And then if they want to game on PC, they have to buy a big gaming desktop as well. And there's so much money in gaming. It's just so weird to me. Like if they just walked in and they're like, yeah, we're going to come and we have this new system where we're going to start helping developers port their games to Mac OS. Like that, it would be easy money as far as I can tell. It's because their graphics API metal sucks hard. I've heard there's a very good reason why it's not why it's not easy. Like it's their computers are built on a fundamentally different architecture, on the ARM architectures, and it's just a totally different thing. So it's not easy to do. But again, if anybody could get it working, it's probably Apple. And it just seems like such a huge point of neglect for them. It would be so easy for them to just put like a team on it, build a team around porting this stuff over and building out a platform for it. Because I'll tell you what, right now, I've got that big gaming laptop and I like it, but it's huge. It's clunky. I pull it out every once in a while whenever we travel or something, but it's big and clunky. But I love using my MacBook. And if I had the ability to buy like a MacBook Pro and I was able to just like play some games on the MacBook Pro, I would greatly prefer that. I would greatly prefer that because as a MacBook, I think MacBooks are just better laptops, but they can't play games or anything. So it's not practical for me to own like a really high-end, nice MacBook. But if they fix that and if they got it so stuff was ported, that would be very compelling. But I mean, all this might be beside the point because it might honestly just be that Hideo Kojima is working on a VR game. He could be working on a VR AR game with Apple. Maybe he's going to come out during the WWDC thing and announce that he's got a new experimental game that he's put together. You never know. Imagine games by Apple would be Nintendo quality, I imagine. Maybe it's just making games and then software and hardware is a very different thing. And Apple recently has not, I don't know, they've not impressed me a lot. But what Kojima's doing here the last like week and a half, if he's just being there, I think he's probably having a few meetings, but more than anything, I think it would make sense if he was filming something. They have their like film crew there and they're going to film his little portion of an announcement video or something. But the point is, he's at the Apple HQ, and that's very, very weird because there's not much reason for him to be there.